It was a warm July day in 2015 when the peaceful streets of St. Petersburg were shattered by a gruesome discovery. In a nearby park, a passerby stumbled upon a plastic bag. Inside were the dismembered remains of a woman. The victim was quickly identified as Valentina Ulanova, a 79-year-old widow who had lived alone in a modest apartment building. She was known to be friendly and sociable, often seen chatting with her neighbors. But one neighbor, in particular, had been especially close to Valentina, Tamara Samsonova. When police questioned Tamara, she was calm and cooperative. She spoke fondly of Valentina, describing her as a dear friend, but something about her demeanor raised suspicions. Her answers were too rehearsed, her emotions too controlled. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a disturbing pattern. Over the years, several elderly women in the neighborhood had gone missing under mysterious circumstances. Their disappearances had been written off as accidents or natural causes, but now police began to wonder if there was a connection. The breakthrough in the case came when police searched Tamara's apartment. Hidden among her belongings was a diary, a detailed record of her crimes. The entries were written in a cold, matter-of-fact tone, as if Tamara were jotting down grocery lists rather than describing acts of murder. She wrote about her victims, how she lured them in, and how she killed them. She even described the satisfaction she felt as she watched them die. One entry read, "Today, I invited Valentina over for tea. She didn't suspect a thing. By the time she realized something was wrong, it was too late. I watched as the life drained from her eyes. It was satisfying." Another entry detailed how she dismembered her victims, carefully disposing of their bodies to avoid detection. She wrote about the tools she used, the precautions she took, and the thrill she felt as she carried out her gruesome tasks. To understand Tamara Samsonova, we must look back at her life. Born in 1947 in post-war Russia, she grew up in a time of great hardship and instability. Her childhood was marked by poverty and loss, and some experts believe these early experiences may have contributed to her violent tendencies. As a young woman, Tamara worked as a nurse, a profession that gave her access to drugs and medical knowledge. It's possible that this background played a role in her choice of weapon, poison. Tamara's personal life was also troubled. She was married twice, but both relationships ended in divorce. She had no children and lived alone for much of her life. Over time, she became increasingly isolated, her dark thoughts festering in the silence. By the time she reached her 60s, Tamara had become a recluse, rarely leaving her apartment except to interact with her neighbors. To them, she was a harmless grandmother, a friendly face in a world that often felt cold and indifferent. But beneath the surface, a monster was waiting to emerge. Tamara's crimes were as methodical as they were brutal. Her weapon of choice was poison, a silent and deadly method that allowed her to kill without drawing attention. She would often invite her victims into her home, offering them tea or food laced with lethal substances. Once they were incapacitated, she would dismember their bodies with surgical precision. She used knives, saws, and other tools to cut them into pieces, which she then disposed of in nearby parks or trash bins. Her diary reveals a level of planning and calculation that is both chilling and fascinating. She wrote about the precautions she took to avoid detection, such as cleaning her apartment thoroughly and disposing of evidence in different locations. But what drove Tamara to commit such heinous acts? According to forensic psychologists, her crimes suggest a deep psychological need for control. By killing and dismembering her victims, she was asserting power over them, reducing them to objects that she could manipulate and destroy. When police finally confronted Tamara with the evidence, she didn't deny her crimes. In fact, she seemed almost proud of what she had done. She confessed to killing at least 10 people, though some believe the true number could be much higher. During her interrogation, Tamara spoke calmly and matter-of-factly about her crimes. She described how she chose her victims, how she killed them, and how she disposed of their bodies. She even offered tips on how to commit the perfect murder, as if she were sharing a recipe rather than confessing to unspeakable acts. Her confession sent shockwaves through the community. How could this seemingly harmless grandmother be capable of such evil? And how had she managed to evade detection for so long? In 2017, Tamara Samsonova stood trial for multiple counts of murder. The courtroom was packed with reporters, curious onlookers, and the families of her victims. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence, including her diary, forensic reports, and witness testimonies. The defense argued that Tamara was mentally ill, but the jury wasn't convinced. After a brief deliberation, Tamara was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. As the verdict was read, she showed no emotion, her face a mask of cold indifference. Tamara Samsonova's story is one of the most disturbing in modern criminal history. A woman who defied stereotypes, who hid in plain sight, and who left a trail of death in her wake. Her diary, a chilling record of her crimes, serves as a reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human soul. It raises important questions about the nature of evil, the role of society in creating monsters, and the limits of our understanding of the human mind. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of Tamara's story is the possibility that there could be others like her, people who blend into society, who hide their true nature behind a mask of normalcy, and who wait for the perfect moment to strike. As we close the chapter on Tamara Samsonova's life, we are left with a sense of unease. Her story is a reminder that evil can take many forms, and that it often hides in the most unexpected places. So, the next time you offer a kind word to a stranger or accept an invitation from a neighbor, remember the tale of the Granny Ripper. Stay curious, but stay safe. And if you found this story as chilling as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the darkest corners of human history. Until next time.